Frank Warren announced today that Tyson Fury is set to invoke his rematch clause for a rematch with Alexander Usyk. It got me thinking, if Tyson Fury goes ahead with this, and as I expect at this point now, because seeing how the first fight went, I've no reason to doubt a rematch won't go similar. If anything, it might go actually more on the side of Alexander Usyk, because Tyson Fury came out of that fight with way more damage, and he already has more miles on the clock now than Alexander Usyk anyway. Now he's starting to get. He's always been a fighter you could drop, but never really hurt, if that makes sense. You could drop him, but he'd recover and he'd get up. Now he's getting badly hurt and staggered. You can see even his punch resistance, how that's going. So I would expect Usyk to win that rematch more comfortably, and maybe, who knows, actually get the stoppage this time. But it got me thinking about the first fight, and not the fight itself in a sense of from a tactical point of view or anything like that. It got me thinking about the reaction to Tyson Fury's loss. Now, a lot of people, some of them who would be, in boxing circles, have said to me, the loss was so satisfying. It was a satisfying loss because of the way, certainly over the last 3 years, how Tyson Fury has behaved. Now, Tyson Fury, when you look at his career as a whole, he's been doing a lot of the shenanigans for a long time. David Price, I know you could say, David Price never went on to be anything, but nevertheless, it's still a duck. He could have taken the Anthony Joshua route when he came back in 2018. Had a couple of fights on Matchroom and then gone with AJ. No, he chose the easier route of Deontay Wilder. Could have had Dylan White in 2019, wait till 2022, etc., etc., etc. But it's really been over the last kind of 2 to 3 years. A lot of people were upset over the Anthony Joshua situation in 2021. The fact that he has a former lawyer, as his co-promoter, and Bob Arum, who obviously knew they were going to ruin Deontay Wilder's favour. And a lot of people, myself included, really got happy, like, we're getting Joshua Fury? And it didn't happen. And then obviously you go to 2022, and in particular last year, it was at that point a lot of his fans who, really do have eyes to see, said, no, this is enough's enough. They wanted, being boxing fans, amongst, for the most part anyway, they wanted undisputed. And they saw that there was one person stopping it, and it wasn't Alexander Usyk. So in the eyes of many boxing fans, he alienated a lot of them. He really did. And for a lot of them, in this fight, some would say, and it might be a very much a dramatized way of looking at it, but they said it was kind of almost good meets evil. Good being Alexander Usyk, evil being the Tyson Fury. Not literally an evil person, but the way one guy has handled his career and handled himself out in the arena of boxing and outside of boxing over the last few years, compare that to Tyson Fury. That's why you see so many British fight fans happy that Alexander Usyk won. You see footage of people in pubs that cheering Alexander Usyk. They're cheering the fact that he got the decision. So many people were so happy about it. And British fans, and Irish fans too, were very happy about Alexander Usyk getting the decision. So it really shows how Tyson Fury has alienated a lot of fans from him with his behaviour. And I think that's one of the reasons, as well as the money, why we got the Usyk fight in the end. Because of the backlash from the public, it just got to the point where, you couldn't ignore it. If you were Team Fury, you just were like, we can't ignore this. It's really, do or die at this point. You can't get away with having another gimme fight, or even fighting anyone other than Alexander Usyk at this point. So that's largely why we got it. I think that's largely why Fury was so animated and aggressive in the build-up to this fight with Alexander Usyk, more so than we'd ever seen him before. And as I said, he lost, and he didn't handle the defeat well, in my opinion. Certainly, that's being very generous. Obviously, what he said about the reason why he felt Usyk won, I really didn't like that, to say the least. I really didn't like that excuse. That wasn't nice. That wasn't nice. That wasn't good. Like Anthony Joshua. I don't know what that is, but it's not nice. No, but it wasn't a good way to react. It wasn't a good way to take it. And it got me thinking, how can Tyson Fury redeem himself, redeem his legacy in the eyes of the boxing fans? I think that the bar, and I don't necessarily mean this in a bad way, is so low for Tyson Fury that if he just goes about this rematch with a bit of grace and dignity, I'm sure a lot of fans will look and say, do you know what? Well done. Well done. We forget what happened. We move on. And what I mean by that is I think that if he was to just take this rematch in October, go in, no shenanigans, no pullouts, none of this nonsense. Certainly don't buy into the excuses that the likes of Usyk low IQ and the thing he said at the interview, where he said Usyk's got the decision because of the you-know-what in his home country. None of that. If he just behaves, ideally he should really apologise for that, but look, whether he does or not, that remains to be seen. If he just goes and handles himself with a bit of dignity, goes in there, and well and good if he wins, happy days. If he loses, which I expect him to, if he's gracious in defeat, if he accepts that loss, gives Usyk respect, I think that'll go a long way to mending the relationship he has with the boxing fans, many of whom turned on him a lot last year, for very good reason. If he was to beat Alexander Usyk, and let's say he was to go and have a fight with Anthony Joshua, which, even though it would mean that both guys have a loss, if it was still maybe for undisputed or certainly unification, it would still be a massive fight. If he was to go and do that, beat Alexander Usyk and then potentially beat Anthony Joshua, and even if he loses, I think that it would go a long way, especially now with this advanced stage in his career. I think that might actually almost redeem him in the eyes of many fans. That a lot of fans would look and say, do you know what happened? But in the end, you came good. Even if you don't win, in the end, you came good. With Vladimir Klitschko was a great example, actually. And I'll tell you why. Because Klitschko, throughout the course of his reign as a heavyweight champion, now he, in fairness to him, he really didn't duck anybody. But the heavyweight division was so poor at the time, you had a lot of guys who were too short, out of shape, or both. And Vladimir Klitschko, more so Vitaly I had a lot more time for. Even though Vladimir was the more talented, and you could see that, Vitaly was the fighter. He was the man. He was the man of the Klitschko house. You could tell that. Vitaly was the guy, if S hit the fan, you'd want Vitaly in your corner. You want Vladimir, as talented as he was. But Vladimir was overmatching so many of these fighters. And he still felt the need to do legal tactics, clinch, hold, lean, like he did against Povetkin. That was shocking. That was one of the worst heavyweight fights I've ever seen. And it made me so infuriated because you look at the first 90 seconds of that fight, Klitschko wasn't holding the Povetkin fight. And Povetkin was winning that round. He was doing really well. And then obviously Vladimir holding, leaning, everything. He only dropped Povetkin once legitimately in that whole fight. The other knockdowns weren't knockdowns. And you just think if that was a different referee, or Louis Pabon is actually quite a good referee, if he had have been his normal self, that could have went very different. But Vladimir was overmatching these guys, and he still felt the need to have them sign these outrageous contracts, spongy canvas, leaning, fouling. It was just unbelievable. And when Tyson Fury beat Klitschko, so many of us were so happy. And many of us just wanted to see Klitschko go, just see it, be gone, see you later. But he didn't go. He came back and he fought Anthony Joshua. And it's the first time in Klitschko's career where he really came up with real adversity and he came through it. And I'm not talking about Sam Peter. That wasn't adversity, really. He was scared. And he was going down voluntarily. Against Joshua, he was hurt. He came back. He dropped Joshua. He was out boxing. He was in his 40s. And that one performance, even in defeat, redeemed Vladimir Klitschko so much in the eyes of fans. Where people actually said, you know what? Right at the end, right at the very, very end, you really did show what we've wanted to see all along. You showed that fire. You showed that fighting spirit. You redeemed yourself. And maybe it's going to be the same with Tyson Fury. if he goes into this fight with Alexander Usyk and he doesn't do any of the shenanigans he did last time, pull outs, reschedule, the rabbit, the this, the that, whatever. If he goes in, gives a good account of himself, even if he's defeated, even if he's stopped, but if he leaves it all in the ring and accepts that defeat like a man, I think a lot of people will say, do you know what? In spite of everything, well done. Well done. I think that's what he needs to do. Will he though? Because at the end of the day, if your first reaction after a defeat, and you could definitely make the case that maybe that was Tyson Fury, because he said Happy New Year. It's nearly June. It's like, we're not even near a holiday yet. We're not even near, Easter is gone. Christmas is miles away. We're not even near anything yet. So, I don't know what he was thinking. Maybe he was a little bit concussed. Maybe now, upon reflection, he can look at that situation. A bit like Anthony Joshua, which was a very disrespectful thing he did as well. Very disrespectful. Look back and say, do you know what? I effed up. That's just my 2 cents on things. How Tyson Fury can maybe redeem himself. Let me know your thoughts. Even if he did what I said there and went through that fight, even in a losing effort, has the damage been done? Let me know. Let me know your thoughts. I'll leave it there. Hope you enjoyed it. Smash the like button if you could. Subscribe, of course, if you haven't already. Me and Jamie, big up to Jamie. Haven't done a live with him in a while. We're going live this evening. About 8 o'clock, there or thereabouts. Talk boxing. Why not? Let's do it. I'll leave it there. Hope you enjoyed it, people. Smash the like button if you could. Subscribe, of course, if you haven't already. Peace.